Hallelujah. Don't know me. I tell what say. I love my mouth. I'm maneuver to me for. Like if I'm a good doer, and you buy Jimao, the Rukefia Mola Shigarau, yeah, female Kunuz or Sozola in Israel. I'm a Dangola Boboma, who puts the Sheba Mania Zozre, Kunumo Zola Israel in Bajio. A matter of Maudiasa, Israel to come a JG, and I Bobon to Roho. I'm a talking Modumatora Kenya, Shekina Herbal Center Potato, Dr. Ebenezer Zakofi, to Sumata Yamava, Israel to come at them Kakui, about Plaukla Gedu, Mosom Wolene, Nisola, the Israel to come Herbo, Bogoma to Rake. Gafe kwa do pa magbeda da doran gole gbegbe dono yo nu ga dagbele do matoro dan korejive Dr. Ekpaoji Azakofi eyefia be yama gbedore lo kataji wo ha na dogo Shekina Herbal Center Potato Dr. Ekpaoji Azakofi a okuhiara nye gbogbomanya o nchira makuhi o agbama adora le jio amrimatoy le zora gbe akpo Dr. Azakofi le Shekina Herbal Center pagunu do pa le klagon le ashama and bridge agbo ke le blara gbe a nya dogo le so ga Awo dola vuzefa gampa kwa Yehovo no na tere vudu angu ke Kumasi no lao mi pomona Dr. Ebenezer Zakofi la EP Church Kumasi Amakum la pejinova pankaka ton plan neliagbe ne okogba maura la miaji Shekina Herbal Clinic for kapozesenye 024-494-1428 Shekina dola lo kata pa mosepe onye.
Right, so welcome to Good Morning Africa, the news review segment here on Pan-African Television. Today is the 1st of February 2021. Finally, the year within the year has ended. You know, January is always described as a full year because of the number of weeks within January. You know, it takes a long time for January to end. And oftentimes, you know, people who are salaried workers find it extremely difficult going through January because by which time, Charlie, all your money would have finished, particularly when you're also coming from December. You should know that, Charlie, it's not easy at all. But finally, I mean, we are in February, and that excites me a lot. That excites me a lot. We are making progress, you know, in terms of the days and in terms of the months and the weeks. Hopefully, that will translate into something meaningful. Let me welcome you all to your most authoritative morning show ever to hit the country and also the continent. My name again is Kwame Owusu. So this morning we're going to be touching on a number of issues here. Yesterday the president held another address to take us through what has been transpired relative to COVID-19, and he was left with very little choice, or in fact with no choice at all, than to ban some public gatherings, owing primarily to how the devastating and how widespread, you know, the COVID-19 has become in Ghana in particular. The fact that the second strain is really killing. It's killing. And yesterday, if you listen to the president speaking tree, you would have realized that the president said, how did he say? Ayehu. Ayehu. So president, so I was wondering anyway. But people have raised concerns because people are saying that the president says, okay, we are banning social gatherings. So i.e. funerals, i.e. parties, i.e. pubs, i.e. clubs, etc. But clubs and pubs and beaches have been operating from when the president declared that none of those places should operate. It had always been working. So it beats anybody's imagination that the president would want to assume that pubs, clubs, beaches and things like that are not working. They are, in fact, working. So, well, let's hope and pray that this second restriction imposed by the president will materialize. Otherwise, well, we are headed for a bigger doom. That is one. Two, that you say that, well, I mean, we can only have 25 people at a time for funerals and things like that. But churches are working, isn't it? Churches are functioning, mosques are functioning, schools are functioning. Have the time. We do know that these kids who are in schools perhaps would even be the ones who go and take it from school and bring it home to their parents. All after that, we should have weighed our options very well and perhaps even just close down the schools for maybe like a week or two or something like that, and then we'll return back to normalcy. I can appreciate the difficulty with government taking a very decisive stance on this particular issue, primarily because of the economic quagmire that may follow that particular decision. However, I think we must overlook some of the economic challenges, that will arise in respect of some decisions and look at the benefit that the state will get if we took this particular decision. Most countries have locked down. In fact, countries that I believe Ghana is better than in terms of the economy have all locked down. So I don't know why we are still massaging that strict decision that ought to be taken by government in order to at least minimize the spread of the virus, etc. Well, we will see whether or not we can arrive at some conclusion in respect of this matter. We don't know. Government is always guided and minded by science, like the president always says. And so you want to grant the president with that. Perhaps there was broader consultation for which reason he needed to take this decision in half. Let's see how it pans out going into the future. Anyway, I welcome into the studios my brother and friend B. Awerbe Salisu, who is the former DC for the NDC. In fact, he speaks very well for the NDC. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I trust you are doing well. Last Thursday, I think you did extremely well, and you caught the attention of Mr. Pratt. That's good. It means you are doing something right. Idrisu Salifu Protocol is also here seated. Somebody that I met quite recently, but is turning out to be a good friend. Good morning to you, my brother.
Good morning.
I trust you are doing well. I love your outfit. You look very MPP-ish.
Wow, thank you.
Anyway, so we have these two gentlemen here who are going to be dealing with the issues that we have tabled for our conversation this morning. Social activities restricted, funerals, parties, weddings banned. But there's a caveat I told you earlier. World Health Organization says coronavirus to spread despite vaccination. So I don't know what they want us to do. Now they say that people who have been able to survive the coronavirus have suffered erectile dysfunctions. So I don't know right now what they want us to do. The thing, if you get time where you heal, your thing know the work. If you vaccinate too, the thing will spread. So right now, what do we do? And when I read this World Health Organization's press report, the comment that followed it was very funny. The person said, stop being, what the person said? He says, stop being a crybaby or a mother and be who? You know what it means? Like, you people should be able to tell us where we are going and how we should address this thing. Don't come and be complaining to us like some crybaby. You should tell us that, okay, we need this vaccine, we need that vaccine, this is how we're going to do it, etc. In order to deal with the situation. But if you come and you complain like the person who has no expertise, then what is your use as World Health Organization? And I think I tend to agree with that assertion. Anyway, EU decries monetization of election campaigns in Ghana. EU decries monetization. This story has been captured on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Kaswa eats poisoned meat as nation grapples with COVID-19. Republic Press also reported this particular story. These are the topics tabled for our conversation. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish with all of them. And hopefully, we will be able to make some sense out of the topics that we've tabled for our conversation. I am very hopeful and confident that we'll be able to do so. Now, let me remind viewers that the Facebook page is, the Facebook page is live. We are streaming live on our Facebook platform. So you can share with us your thoughts via that channel, and we will try to read it. I know I've not been so good at reading messages lately, and I believe that you can appreciate why, because of the court issues and things like that. Sometimes when we hit 9:30, we would be done. I mean, the time, we will still have other issues to discuss. We'll still have, so I'm not able to read all your messages, but hopefully today we'll be able to expedite the process such that it will afford me a lot of time to try and read some of your messages. The WhatsApp number is equally activated. It's 026084653. Now, let me say a special good morning to you, my very good friend and brother, Raj, CEO of RMP Oil, Raj. Good morning to you. And also to one of my godfathers, Alaji Kasule, good morning to you. And also to my chairman and friend in KEEA constituency, in the person of Chairman Kweku Untumi Entake. Infante Okan Untum Take. Good morning to you. I trust you're doing very well. Alaji Baba said good morning to you. Samia Uku, good morning to you. And one of my very, 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 very good friends as well, in the person of, hey, how come his name just vanished? Oh my goodness. Anyway, I think the name will come to me later. But Hanan Abdul Wahab, former CEO of, and I think he has to be maintained. I think I've said this countless number of times. And I think that from where I sit, I've engaged him a few times, but also I've also had an objective overview of his work at Buffer Stock. I never knew anything about Buffer Stock until he became CEO. To be honest, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what they did, but at least he popularized it, and he made people aware of the activities of Buffer Stock. So I think that Hanan, beyond everything, beyond the fact that he performed exceptionally, he's a young man who is performing exceptionally. He also needs some high commendation by all of us, irrespective of your political party. I think that if people perform very well, we need to appreciate their performance. And Hanan is no exception. It's one person who has really, really performed very well in that particular sector, which is the Buffer Stock. So Hanan, good morning to you. And I want to encourage you to continue to make the young people in this country proud by dint of your commitment to the service of our dear nation, Ghana. So good morning to you, Hanan Abdul Wahab. All right, gentlemen, how are we? Fantastic. Are you ready to rock and roll? Yes. Now let's start on COVID-19. Yesterday we all listened to the president. Social activities restricted, funerals, parties, weddings banned. President says that pubs and beaches and clubs continues to be banned. And I was wondering, the president, does he not drive through town to know that clubs and pubs are still fully functioning and operating, and people sweating? And in fact, yesterday somebody commented on the president's address and said that, Mr. President, you post the address right now. And he listed some of the pubs and clubs. Says, go and check. You will see the people there, deal with them, and you come back and continue. But I mean, there have been, these pubs and clubs and things that have been functioning with or without the restrictions imposed by government. And we can only ask why. But the point is that right now, COVID-19 is on the surge, and the marginal increase is as a result of our inability as a nation to deal with the fundamental issues which we ought to have dealt with even before, we started experiencing the surge or the second phase of COVID-19. Now, let me start with you, Biaweribe. What do you make of the president's address yesterday, and whether or not you think that there's some justification really for the restrictions imposed and for all the other things that followed same?
Yes, KOD, I think that, to be very frank, many of us have lost interest in the president's address. The reason why we've lost interest in the president's address and the daily or bi-daily briefings of the ministers and the Ghana Health Service is by virtue of the fact that they've not been candid.
Can you speak up for me, please?
It's by virtue of the fact that they've not been candid with the facts with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. They've seen the entire coronavirus pandemic and the management of it as nothing but a communication game. And when it came in the year of an election, they saw a glorious opportunity to use it to manage people's expectations and go to the elections just to win political favor with regards to the management of the pandemic. Not that they were really interested in the real issues on the ground, or they are going in hands-on to solve the situation. And there are a whole lot of reasons why some of us don't even believe the president or the ministers when they come doing that PR gimmick that they play. One, are you aware that when the numbers were in the neighborhood of less than 10,
yeah,
a greater part of the nation was locked down? So you ask yourself, if the numbers are less than 10, then you lock down Accra, lock down Greater Kumasi, and indeed impose severe restrictions. Now that the numbers are in thousands, that one, it doesn't merit the necessary restrictions which you actually impose. What was the justification? You recall that when they imposed the restrictions, they again wanted to benefit and profit from the coronavirus pandemic and what went into the food distribution, which became a political football. Many people, so-called, were supposed to have been fed. They were not fed. They were complaining. And NADMO and other allied agencies came up and gave us some mind-boggling figures as to what they use the monies for. Up to date, we are hoping and praying that a proper audit will be done to really see the true utilization of the said monies that they indeed put out there. But they saw as an opportunity, many of us saw it as an opportunity to milk the country Ghana without accounting properly. Because if I tell you that I'll be able to distribute over 20,000 packs of food, what is the data? And who will come and follow me? And to give even a pack of food at 10 cities or 5 cities, it means that a lot has actually gone down the drain when the people who needed the food most are complaining. But this is where we have come from. Again, you recall that in the heat of the said preparations for the pandemic, we were told that there were important they were trying to build 88 hospitals, remember? And the president came and addressed the nation and gave us 1 year that he's going to build the hospitals. We are over 8 months down the lane. Massa, I can tell you, even proper short curtain has not been cut for any of the 88 hospitals that we are talking about. This is the type of president that we are dealing with. And you know why he came and did that?
Tell me.
Because John Mahama had made a promise that, look, we were going to make sure that we provide regional hospitals, both infectious disease centers from the middle belt and also that of the northern belt. They could not do that. And the best he could do was to latch onto that, knowing very well that the promises of John Mahama was actually eating and biting and people were buying into it. And that was actually the time that we now appreciated the infrastructure investment of the NDC administration. When they came, they did absolutely nothing. And when they saw that it was biting on them, they were now running away from their drones, running away from their so-called ambulances that they bought, and now relying on the very hospitals, which some of them have even turned as hotels. Remember the minister or the former minister of health, Kweku Agyeman-Menu, when he refused to operate the University of Ghana Medical Center on the flimsy excuse that they were not having a generator when the system had a generator out there. And it ought to take some one-man protester when Rebecca Akufo-Addo, the first lady, ought to go there and the issues which went in there before they could even kickstart the whole process. Remember the accusations against Rojo Metanono and then the former dean Professor Ayite of the former VC of the university, and all the issues which went out there. This is the nature of the kind of administration that we are dealing with. Remember that they decided to say they were going to give food distribution to vulnerable people up to date. There are still lingering questions as to food distribution with regards to that. This is the type of administration that we are dealing with. They decided to do several unthinkable things. They came to Parliament and made Parliament to approve loans and also contract some monies went into the stabilization fund in excess of close to 2 billion had been taken for the coronavirus situation. But what has happened? Look, the Ministry of Agric, who said that they were going to do planting for food and jobs, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, they were now going to distribute seeds and foodstuffs and all those things and this thing for them to plant. Massa, it went unheeded too. But chunks of money had been pushed out there. This is the type of government we are dealing with. They came and then actually took 600 million Ghana cedis that they were going to support various small-scale businesses.
NBSSI.
There were 2 levels. One through NBSSI and another one which was distributed from their own ministries that they have actually created. Okay. And at the heat of the elections, when we come to the north, and thankfully protocol is also from the north, and many of us who did our campaigns in the north, in Tamale they were called Ayaluna. And you know Ayaluna, that means that you just be free money which will just fall from somewhere. And they were doing that, using that as campaign, and throughout the whole country. They took people's numbers without any using their parliamentary candidates who were not even government officials, many of them, and giving those free monies to them. And you know what propaganda that they ought to say, oh, this one, it is the coronavirus. They're not even saying that Nanado has given you the money. If you make a mistake and vote for John Mahama, he will let you pay or refund the monies. But if you vote for Nanado, they will not let you pay. This even forced John Mahama, His Excellency, to come and make a pronouncement that, look, it's through me that I set up a sinking fund and that of stabilization fund to build monies in this fund. And through the vision that I had, they ought to go and borrow $250 million out of it, and which had been used for the purpose of trying to cushion in very trying times like this. So I know how to build the resources, and therefore I will not go out there to as well be chasing you, conscious of the fact that your economy and your businesses and everything has suffered tremendously. But this was an opportunity that they saw, and nothing but a political game, to use it for nothing but politics. Remember that when the impositions were done, the only time they decided to actually lift or ease the impositions was when MPP was going for their primaries, presidential primaries. So the president ought to come in a very clever mood, trying to lift some kind of impositions just to pave way for his party to do and run their primaries. So when they come telling you that we are in the 3rd wave, we are in the 2nd wave, some of us don't believe that even the 1st wave was ever even over. They decided to make sure that they restrict the hospital facilities, and the people who were the frontline staff who were going around tracing and doing contact tracing, they stopped them, and they even give a case definition to be able to discharge many people whom they said they were asymptomatic. But being asymptomatic doesn't mean that you can't transmit the disease. Up to date, many statistics still show that the prevalence is even higher and more than what is even reported, because currently they are not chasing for any symptom. What they are waiting for is anybody who actually goes to the critical or higher level. When they report to the facilities, then they record and take the samples, and that is when they will be able to identify those who are seriously sick. And that is why the present address is indicative of the fact that the beds are getting filled. This is the highest time that we are getting it. The gates are getting filled, the hospitals are getting filled, and they are not getting more capacity to be able to get these get patients. And beds are actually running out of supply. But you know the irony of this situation, Massa, you come and tell me that barriers should not be more than 25. Remember that in the Ghanaian tradition, at barrier size, people hardly talk. Remember? So private funerals and the burials, these are solemn ceremonies and solemn occasions. In the Muslim tradition, you hardly get people even speaking, with the exception of possibly the imam, who will give a sermon. In the Christian tradition, burials are usually done solemn at best. You will get the piano and then some music which is actually running and then something which is cooling. That is what is happening. But you said people should not be more than 25. At the same time, you have allowed schools, boarding schools, and children in excess of 600 to thousands are gathered, and classrooms are more than 50. Doesn't make sense. But you say you should go, you are working by science and data. We don't believe that indeed from the beginning of the pandemic to date, any decision of Nana Akufo-Addo has actually been guided by science and data. When it sees them, they say that it is science and data. When it does not, then they have a different rendition altogether with regards to that. Again, you now say that churches should not spend more than 2 hours, and students should go to a classroom from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Master, what's the total number of hours? Even we the adults, how difficult it is to keep your mask on. It is not easy. Then children will definitely pull it down. They will interact, they will socialize, and they will even share various masks. They will get another mask which is actually lying down. They will go and pick it up. And when they are taking decisions, at times, they should remember that we are not dealing with the people who are in the middle to high-end class, whose children are in the private schools. No. If you go to the public schools, the schools that we call the Saito, Masa, to get even 1 cedi a day, to go and even feed yourself in school is a problem. Then to buy a child's face mask, which is on average of 2 Ghana cedis, a box of it 50, is costing about 100 Ghana cedis. You think that some of the parents in the rural areas, especially in my village and theirs, can afford to be able to do that?
Yeah.
Obviously not. They cannot. So the effect is that, look, the children should continue to die. The disease should continue to be transmitted. The teachers are complaining that indeed the promises that they were made, that they will be giving these type of facilities when the children report, have not been provided. This is the situation that we find ourselves. Interestingly, the restrictions, the markets are still busy and brisk. And you cannot get any place which is as busy in Ghana than a market. Take your cameras into the market and you see the pretense with which even the face mask is even one. It's one thing to say that you are wearing a face mask, but whether you are wearing it properly.
Chin mask.
Some have become chin covers. Others, it has become a decoration.
Yeah.
For the purpose of putting it there. And indeed, the purpose of which it is going to serve.
So let's do this by way of education. By way of education, you spoke about the beds. So by way of education, Ga East Hospital has a bed capacity of 91. Okay. Total bed capacity of 91. 12 has been used according to Ghana Medical Association. The Infectious Disease Center, we have 100 beds according to Ghana Medical Association. 21 has been used. Pantan isolation, I didn't know Pantan was part of the isolation centers, but it has a bed capacity of 80. 0 has been used. Police Hospital, 12. 5 has been used. Range Hospital, 12 has been used. So it means that there's no bed in Range Hospital as we speak. If you go to the International Maritime Hospital, we have 10 beds. 6 out of the 10 beds have been used. Go to Nyaho Hospital, it has a bed capacity of 16. 16 has been used. Kolebu Teaching Hospital has a bed capacity of 20. 12 has been used. Tema General Hospital has a bed capacity of 12. 5 has been used. As for Tema General Hospital, I will never go there. 37 Military Hospital, 42 bed capacity, 28 has been used. University of Ghana Medical Center, ICU, this is intensive care unit, 16 beds, 16 have been used. So, as it stands now, these are the figures in terms of the bed capacity and what have been used. So, the bed capacity grand total, we have about 411. The reason why I said I would never go to Tema General Hospital is because of my personal experience. That hospital, they don't care about human life. I'm sorry. So it will be difficult for me to go. But this is just by way of education. And because you mentioned beds, I thought that it's important to bring this to our attention.
And per the president's address yesterday, the president is saying that, look, it is not only Accra which is getting the fast.
He said 16 out of 16 regions.
All the regions have gone.
Originally it was 13 regions, but now it's 16 regions out of 16 out of 16.
And he went further to even rezone them.
Yeah.
And said Greater Accra, Ashanti, Central, and the interesting thing is that Northern region and Northeast are among the fast spreading regions. You ask yourself, is a country that prepared? Are the facilities ready?
Yeah.
The oxygen,
the ventilators.
How many do we have?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Because at the end of the day, if indeed you can get infections into 700s, and the critically ill people are rising in their trenches, it means that, look, if you don't want to actually go into a situation, in one day, all these beds can be occupied in one day. And what happens? And remember that, look, we are not only dealing with COVID-19 as the only infectious disease. There are other ones which might need this same facility.
Absolutely, that's the danger. You know, and I think that has come up in a number of conversations where people say that, yes, because of COVID-19, first of all, people find it very difficult to go to these hospitals because the understanding is that most of these hospitals are riddled with COVID-19. I mean, you may not necessarily even have the virus, but you will end up going to the hospital and picking the virus up.
Very well.
So people originally are some type of way, even going to the hospital in the first place when they have just, minor ailments, right? That's number one. Number two, there are some sicknesses that will require the usage of ventilators. So for example, if somebody is asthmatic, if somebody has been attacked and things like that, even when they are about to, I don't know how they medically describe it, but they want to perform, surgical operation on people, they need the ventilators, to be able to put it on the patient, etc. But now we are in deficit. So the question then becomes, how do we travel between saving people's lives when it has to do with COVID-19 and also addressing, the basic ailments of people when it has nothing to do with COVID-19?
And what you even hear is that spread calm.
I think yesterday the president didn't spread calm at all.
And which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's better to be afraid than to be cautious and giving that kind of assurance only to contract the said disease. And the interesting thing, the reasons why we are getting the critically ill people now reported at our facilities is by virtue of the fact that people are afraid to go to hospitals.
Yeah.
And they will stay at home. The situation will become critical. Their situation might not be identified early enough.
Right.
And you would definitely have a situation of this. But the nature and attitude of us, especially those in leadership and politicians, did not even indicate that the disease was a deadly disease. So now, to be able to even restructure our communication, to get people to believe that it is so serious and so deadly, becomes another issue. Because they saw our attitude during the campaigns. They saw that we left everything to, that we did our registration across the country and said that we were interested in having a new register when we could have had a register that we could operate with. The very evil of the old register that we actually criticized. We actually had a new register which was even worse. For the first time, you had a register which never contained anybody's name who came there and registered. But that person went to the polling station to be able to vote by writing the person's name on a plain paper.
Okay. Fantastic.
History.
Right. I think now I need to come to...
We have had this.
Thank you. I need to come to... conclude for me. Let me come to protocol. I think...
So the reality
is eager to step in.
The reality is that Nana Akufo-Addo's government and the way and manner they have managed COVID-19, they only see three things. One, a PR gimmick. Two, another opportunity to fleece and milk the resources of the state. And the third one is to actually subject many people to needless lives lost and contraction of the disease. This is the way
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me remind viewers that we are streaming live on Facebook, so please share the feed so others can get the opportunity to watch the morning show. We are also streaming live on YouTube. People watch it a lot on YouTube. I didn't know that. I just checked over the weekend and I realized, hey, people watch it on YouTube a lot. So those of you who are watching on YouTube, kindly let us know you are watching on YouTube so that we can try and read some of the comments that you leave underneath the live stream. Now, by way of education, I brought to your attention the bed capacity as it is now, as it stands now, right? But also by way of education, I think that Biaweribe, the Honorable Biaweribe, mentioned that in his estimation, government is seeking to achieve 3 things with all of these COVID-19 brouhaha. One is a PR gimmick. I don't know for what intent and purpose that PR gimmick is supposed to achieve. If it is to continue to make the government popular, well, I don't know that because there's no scientific evidence to that, to back that assertion. And 2, he says to milk the resources of the state. Now, to milk the resources of the state is one that I believe can be substantiated on the basis of a report that was done by the Oxford Business Group. The Oxford Business Group. And if you follow me on Facebook, I'm sure yesterday you are aware that I posted the breakdown of the expenditure as government has done now in respect of the monies that it was given by all so that's what is projected on the screens now. So given a breakdown of the money spent by government in its 2020 Ghana COVID-19 response report, the Oxford Business Group noted the following: 50 million Ghana cedis spent on sanitation and market fumigation. 80 million Ghana cedis spent as 50% allowance of basic salaries of frontline workers. Now we are going to be questioning all of these things, right? 220 million Ghana cedis on fumigation of schools and PPE for education sector. 600 million for health infrastructure, district and regional hospitals. Then 1.34 billion on COVID-19 preparedness plan 1 and 2. This is how much our government has spent so far. Let me take you through that again. Now, 50 million spent on sanitation and market fumigation. 80 million as 50% allowance of basic salaries of frontline health workers. 220 million Ghana cedis on fumigation of schools and PPE for education sector. 600 million for infrastructure, district and regional hospitals. 1.34 billion on COVID-19 preparedness plan 1 and 2. I don't know what the preparedness is. I don't know what they mean when they say preparedness. I am not inclined to know. I don't know. I'm not in any position to know. But that is what it is, right? But what marvels me is that I don't know whether or not this amount of money that has been put out is coming from the reliefs that was given to government by, for instance, the UN. You know, I think there was some $1 billion and things like that.
World Bank,
IMF.
Yes.
World Bank, IMF. I didn't say I said the UN. World Bank, IMF, and internally we also created a COVID-19 fund.
We first borrowed using the stabilization fund, 250 million.
Yeah, absolutely. So we created a fund. Now I think on my Twitter page I posed the question and then later it was responded to by government. And government sought to explain to us how much was realized by way of contribution from individual companies, etc., and how much of it has been spent so far. So I got that response from government, but I wasn't satisfied because then there's no breakdown of how much was spent in which area. So we don't know. So for instance, when they gave free foods, how much went into the provision or the production of that, or the supply that was made. For instance, when they claim that they have given PPEs, etc., how many of the PPEs have been sent and to which areas? So we need to know all of that. They need to give us a breakdown. Maybe protocol will help us with that. If he can't help us with that, it's okay. But let's go into the details of the address by the president. President intimates that we need to lock down, not lock down necessarily. We need to ban some activities, which activities in his estimation are what have occasioned the spike in the number of cases that we're experiencing now in this country. People are of the opinion that the places that the president is looking at are not the places which we can describe as derivatives of the spread of the virus, and that there are some other places where the government has not focused its attention on. And perhaps if government focused its attention on those areas, then we'll be able to deal with the issue. That is one. Two, that the president said that there was a meeting. I think the ECOWAS or so had a meeting in respect of how much is supposed to be charged at the airports, etc. The agreement was that $50 should be charged if you are an ECOWAS national, and for international travelers, etc., $150. Is this justifiable? Is this justifiable? All of these issues, plus the expenditure, plus infrastructure, are what I want you, protocol, to address this morning. But before that, let me say a special good morning to my godfather, Ambassador Sampiale. You are watching us, please.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mr. Kwame, and good morning to my senior brother, who also doubles as the regional secretary to the at Savannah region. I think that I have noticed a particular, if you like, a dishonest kind of analysis that my brother actually engages in. And I thought that is unfortunate in the sense that you cannot try to poo-poo the interventions of government and only would want to define it as more or less, if you like, a PR gimmick. Now, the truth of the matter is that we are in this particular conundrum altogether. So it is about how is it that we are able to manage this particular unfortunate situation that has actually become an albatross around the neck of the entire population of the world. You understand? So that is the angle in which I want to, as it were, approach this particular issue. Now, suffice to say that if we were confronted with two opposing issues such that a particular kind of policy alternative is required to be able to solve it, then it is equally critical that you try to make a recollection of two possible governments that have actually addressed situations of natural, or if you like, a similar nature. Now, we were in this particular country where, you know, once upon a time, His Excellency, former President John Dramani Mahama, was the president of this country, where we were visited with what has become a cliche known as Danso. To what extent was the president as at that time, or if you like, the government as at that time, were able to solve that particular problem to the extent that Ghanaians would laud that? Now, I'm making this particular analysis, or if you like, a comparison, because it is not for nothing that the Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, actually tried to to appeal to the conscience of Ghanaians for us to have that particular juxtapositions, so that we will able to understand and know which particular government actually take the good people of this country serious, because it's very critical. At the end of the day, when these particular issues came up, I'm referring to the Danso crisis that was visited on us. The government, as at that time, was not able to solve that particular problem to the extent that civil society organizations and economic watchers actually were able to, as it were, tell the kind of economic, problems because of that particular issue. I think, we all know Imani Ghana and Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, in Lagos. They postulated that the daily problem in terms of economic effect that this Danso was actually being visited on us was in the neighborhoods of $2 million United States dollars. This is a critical to the extent that businesses has to fold up. You understand? So for me, it's about how people, or if you like, governments are able to manage situations given, at various points in their governance. Now, let's take a look at what the president said yesterday and try to make a recollection of what is actually being put in place by the government of the day to be able to address, or if you like, try to see how best we are able to manage this particular COVID-19 situation. Because it is not for nothing that, like they said, the new wave has actually been, and watchers have actually said that, it has its attendant problems where people who are actually being, if you like, attacked with this particular COVID-19, in one way or the other, are having issues with erectile dysfunctions, etc., etc. And you know it. Even if you are attacked and at the end of the day your something cannot work, would you be happy? So these are some of the things that we ought not to just brush it off and think that we can continue to do politics on that. Now, there is, based on the mitigating factors, or if you like, policies that the government has actually embraced. If you go to the regional hospitals, there is what is called free COVID-19 testing at all regional hospitals and health centers. This, I think, is a very important step in the right direction. So for me, I think it is a positive move. Now let us also look at what happened when this particular issue of the COVID came, and the government in terms of trying to mitigate those particular issues. There was, and of course, all of us would be able to bear witnesses to that. There was this, free electricity to households across the country. Of course, it would have its economic, if you like, impact on the revenues of government. Bear in mind that there was also, free supply of water. Like you indicated, 50% of gross salaries, was actually earmarked for frontline health workers across this country. Based on the statistics. Free distribution of, of food to persons within Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi. Of course, my brother also made mention of the Ayaluna, if you like, in terms of our local balance in the north, where monies were actually being given to them through the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to be able to cushion them to ensure that they are able to continue with their basic economizing problems of any issues relating to trade and all that, so that they will be able to have funds to be able to carry out some kind of economic activities in the midst of the COVID. Now, these are some of the critical issues the government have actually taken on board.
I will do the financial analysis of that.
Taking on board.
To know whether or not indeed the money that we're giving to those people have given some results. Because all these things that you're talking about.
I'm coming to that.
All these things that we're talking about. No, I'm going to allow you to expand. But I need to ask you this question.
You make a reference.
All of these things that you're talking about happened in the in the first phase.
Yes.
Of COVID-19. All of these things happened. And if all these things that we did, or government did, right, were to help reduce the numbers, has it yielded any result? The free distribution of water, electricity, all those things, have they helped in reducing the numbers?
So you see, for me,
the bottom line is that it comes back to that. So expand the argument, however, but I want you to also address that when you get to that point.
No problem.
So go on.
And of course, I've also noticed a particular trajectory that, in terms of this discussion, where even you start to project a particular, if you like, some kind of a survey or a report by Oxford Business Group.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think yesterday or so I went. Of course, you are my friend on Facebook, and I've been monitoring and following you very keenly. I think that if anybody is minded to go to Mr. Kwame Owusu Danso's Facebook page, you would notice that you share that statistics. But interestingly enough, for me, I was taken aback as to the kind of spin, if you excuse me, the kind of spin that is attributed to that particular analysis is my problem.
Okay.
Because the very preamble that you came has to do with the phrase "wicked leaders." Which everybody who is what is it called, who is minded in terms of communication and all that, would know that, look, this particular kind of preamble has a particular trajectory that you would want people to.
Which trajectory is?
That for me is unfortunate.
Yeah, because you see,
if you say wicked leaders,
point
and
is,
you now come to, as it were, bring out those particular analysis. For me, I am not bothered by that particular phrase, but for me, I think that maybe it could have sounded, I mean, you possibly could have sounded a little bit humbling enough to be able to share the statistics.
So can you confirm to us, you see,
I would want to also benefit.
What are the 50% have been given to frontline workers? Can you confirm to that? Can you confirm that 50% of the allowances have been given to frontline health workers? Can you confirm that? So you see,
of course, that you see, first of all, I'm not a frontline health worker, but believe you me, if at the end of, so the government cannot continue to be making, this particular analysis and telling the good people of Ghana, where even the frontline health workers are listening, and nobody would, if indeed the government have not actually demonstrated by, paying those particular amount of money, wouldn't you think that those particular frontline health workers would have massed up to, as it were, call for the government to pay them? So you see, these are
no pun intended, but under this administration, there are so many things you cannot do. No pun intended, but under this administration, there are so many things you cannot do. Even journalists are prevented from asking very critical questions. You will be arrested. You will be arrested.
Oh no, Mr. Kewdi.
You will be arrested. Please, a few friends of mine have been arrested.
I mean, this is below the belt.
Absolutely not.
This is below the belt.
That's a real fact. That's a real fact. You will be arrested. So people are minded like you.
I learned from you. I learned from you if you don't know. But so you see, maybe this is just another thing that maybe you would want to take on board when anytime you want to also educate Ghanaians on that. I think that the statistics you shared even vindicate the government of the day in terms of, what is it that they have done in mitigating
if my director can predict it so people can follow
the adverse effects of the COVID-19. That is why I'm saying that it's about what is it that you have done that shows that yes, you are actually being mindful and serious with the life of the good people of Ghana.
Let's go to the breakdown.
You understand?
To them. Hold on.
You understand?
Let's do this for the people.
You said that
hold on.
50 million spent on sanitation and market fumigation.
Yes.
Didn't you see, Zoom Lion and other sanitation bodies go across our markets to do the fumigation? These are practical realities.
That cost the nation 50 million.
So you see, you are now talking about the cost element involved. So for me, I think that it's about, I don't know if what is it, you are able to, you want us to look to look into the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, but we need to look into the cost benefit because that is the only way we can get value for money. So you are saying 80 million as 50% allowance of basic salaries of frontline health workers. I'm friends with a lot of frontline health workers who have not received a dime from government. And yet somehow that has been factored into the expenditure of government in respect of COVID-19.
You see,
that for me is something that we must interrogate.
You see, Mr. Kwame, yes, I'm not sitting here to what is it called, for want of a better expression, to engage in anecdotal evidences that doesn't exist. That is why I'm saying that there are practical realities on the ground, because all these particular statistics that you have projected, if indeed none of it is not the reality, those affected would definitely come out and then, as it were, challenge those particular statistics.
Let's look at this figure. 220 million.
So for me, I think that
220 million.
220 million on fumigation of schools and that's the procurement of PPE.
Let's be factual. You're from the northern, and I consider
just when I was coming back to Accra.
I consider myself as somebody who is from the north as well, right?
Okay.
And when I say the north, people sometimes say, but why is there a place called the north? But I'm saying the north because we all understand what the north is. Now, look, you and I would agree that when schools reopened, many of the schools within the communities, the villages, never had a single PPE.
Okay.
None whatsoever. Even in Accra. In fact, I was having a conversation with my biggest godfather. I don't want to mention his name on this platform. And he said, Kwame, you are even talking about the north. Here in Accra, most of the schools were not giving PPEs. So what are you talking about? Okay. And you spent how much? So how much is it, the figure again? 220 some million. That's not a joke, my brother.
Okay. So
where are the PPEs? Give us a breakdown of the schools that you gave these PPEs to. Which fumigation was done? Which school did they fumigate? We need to know. You can't just come and bandy figures about and tell us that you've done ABCD when we don't know exactly the places that you've done these things. So we need more clarity or clarification from you, sir.
The sweetness of the pudding is in the eating, said by the Vice President of the Republic. Now I'm going to give you a headmaster's phone number and his full name so that you cross-check with him whether or not in his school he was not called to come and, as it were, take custody of PPEs for purposes of distributing it to the students.
You know the headmaster?
That is why I'm saying that I know him. I know him personally.
You know his school?
I know his school.
Mention the school. The school.
Okay, so I know him very, very well.
What's
His name, please wait. His name is Mohammed Hamidu.
Mohammed.
I'm going to give you his phone.
No.
No, I mean this.
What's the name of the school? Don't worry, I'll do our own check.
Yes, you do your own check. You will do your own check.
What's the name of the school?
I will give it to you in a jiffy.
No, give it to me now.
I will give it to you in a jiffy.
You know the school, don't you?
I know he's a headmaster. Okay, and I've given you his phone. I've given you his number. What is it called? His name. I don't want his name. You give me his name. I want the school. Yes.
Where does he teach?
He's the headmaster.
Which school?
Don't worry, I'll give it to you
now. Which school?
You know, for purposes of the discussion, I don't want it to be truncated. The name of the school actually is off my head, but I would produce it to you.
But he's your very good friend.
Oh,
you know he's a headmaster.
Please.
You have his number. You know his name, but you don't
so
know.
You see the dishonesty that is going on.
No, what's dishonesty?
It's pure dishonesty in the sense that the fact that maybe I have forgotten of the name of the school doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not true.
But you are saying no. You are using.
I will give you the name of the school.
You are adducing evidence to support your argument. Sir, with the greatest of respect to protocol, you're my friend. You are giving evidence you are adducing evidence to support the argument that you're advancing, that indeed government has given PPEs to schools.
And you're saying it is not true, not so.
And I'm saying it's not true.
And you said it is not true.
You're saying I'm lying.
So don't worry.
And you are justifying what you're saying on the basis of what your friend told you.
Believe you me.
You are telling me that your friend is Mohammed Hamidu.
Yes.
You can give me his phone number.
Yes.
Now I'm saying that which school?
I will give it to you.
Now,
listeners, please, I would want you to continue to listen and monitor this program. At the end of this program, if I don't produce the name of the school, then please take me as somebody who is only peddling falsehood. Now, if I also am able to give that particular name, then it means that, of course, Mr. KOD was only trying to pull my legs at the end of the day. So because I know very well I'll be able to fetch the name of the school. But because you want to push me, possibly, and of course, I don't want to make mistakes on that. So for me, what is very critical is what is it that is actually the reality on the ground, that is what matters than what you want us to believe is. So for me, what is the reality is that PPEs are being distributed to various schools.
Which schools?
Across the country.
Which schools? Give me 2 schools.
So you see, I can only give you the name of the school that I've actually, make references to in the northern region, where even they were even called by the security supervisors and through the districts for all head teachers to come and take custody of the PPEs. You understand? Why would I sit on national TV?
I'm not saying that. Let's not get to that.
So for me, and of course, my credibility is also on the line.
Yeah, no, I'm
just mentioned that at the end of this program, if I
only want confirmation.
If I am not able to mention the name of the school, then people should not take me serious.
Thank you, Protocol. I think that Protocol has advanced his argument. Protocol has sought to justify the expenditure made by government in respect of COVID-19 and which monies what we used those monies for. And our brother Salifu Protocol says that he's going to provide us with the details of the school, which is headed by Mohammed Hamidu. Mohammed Hamidu happens to be a very good friend of his. And Mohammed Hamidu is saying, is indicating that he's taking custody of some PPEs, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we will try and get into that. Right. Let's now move on and look at another issue which has become very rife, and I want us to expedite this because of the election petition. We'll bring you a live feed of that. But let me read messages. I think today I promised my viewers. So with your leave, says, granted. Salis,
sure.
Yeah. Good. Kudi says, And we are talking about how the government is tackling this, and you are talking about what opposition came to do and how opposition tackled Danso. Totally out of the subject, sir. This one also said, Mr. MPP man, please. Okay. Lawal Kopite says, please tell the MPP rep to tell us how many megawatts NDC government added to the electricity that helped in the overcoming of Danso. You can't take all the credit if you added 0 megawatts, but claim you solved Danso. Lolonya says, who is this man talking? The free food you shared, it's only the free food you shared, you only shared it to your party members. Okay. Judy Mensah says, I don't understand. I'm getting confused. What is this man saying? This one says, we have questions awaiting him. Please give us the opportunity to throw questions at him. I'm giving you an opportunity. He's here. He will respond to the questions. Benjamin Adumata says, if not more than 25 people are to attend funerals, which are mostly held in open spaces like football parks, etc., but the same number of 25 people could be packed in a 207 bus, I just don't get it. The president must come again. Felicitas Wakaria, where from this, okay, no, you can't describe him with that. Where from protocol, Danso caused increase of COVID-19 today. What are you talking about? Please, protocol, I believe you are a stranger for saying MPP solved Danso. Can you tell us how many kilowatts MPP or megawatts MPP added to our grid? Study well. All right. Nana Kwame says, why is this man comparing Danso to COVID-19? Where people are dying. Michael Victoria says, I wonder how these politicians see, how they see us. How do you lie without fearing God? In that media house, I really wish there's a strong body that will come for Rauf Issa says, I should come out and challenge these figures and get sacked or hunted at work. Do you think I'm a fool? This is precisely what I was talking about. Nanaya Berima is simply giving KOD macho. KOD macho. Thank you. This one also says, he's a headmaster in your party and as well has 40% of his share already. So he's part of your lies. Abdullah says, Massa, stop what you're saying. It's not true. Libya 1GH says, where are the 88 hospitals you promised us, deceitful president of Ghana ever? Benjamin Adumata, the fumigation exercise has nothing to do with COVID-19. It only reduces mosquitoes. The man says the fumigation only reduces mosquitoes and other insects. Government must use that money to buy nose masks for students. Is Isaac Gibisu? Does the MPP man know what he's saying? He's just confusing himself. Emmanuel Peterson says, good morning, E-Town. Hey, E-Town brother, Elmina Town brother. What this MPP man is talking about, he should give us a break. He should give us a break. Akuya Akosombo Nyantechiwa. We don't need a headmaster's name. Let's say, yes, he has received the PPs. How about the other schools around him? That's also a very valid question. KOD, have you realized that the MPP man is using numbers to speak lies? No, he can't do that. Henry Anderson, KOD, such MPP reps tend to make, okay. Mention the schools. The guy said, mention the schools. Somebody said, this man, pa. They are not called circuit supervisors again, sir. At the part wisdom of says, tell the MPP man to ask his government to pay our cocoa money. That's all we need. We are on the problem. Bemu Benat says, this man is just telling lies. He should just mention one schooler. This man is just lying like Katie Hammond. All right. Let's do this. The messages are pouring in, but you can also send me your messages on Twitter. Okay, at Kwame Owusu Danso, Twitter Kwame Owusu Danso. KOD, the fumigation was part of the elections chop. It has nothing to do with COVID. Please tell the man that he should tell government to pay the cocoa farmers. Hey, people make quado. All right. And Fiatina, you are watching, Siba Abubakar, you are watching, and all the other people who are watching, I've seen you all. I'll try and read some of your messages, so please keep them coming through. You want to make a point?
Yes.
No problem, I got you.
You asked me to get you the name of the school. The name of the school is Naimia Islamic Primary School. I will spell the school.
Spell it.
N-A hyphen E-M-I Y-A. Islamic Primary School.
Where is it?
It is located directly opposite Japan Motors. That is, if you are entering Tamale.
Okay.
Yes, it is within the neighborhoods of that particular area.
So this is a government school.
Now the school finds itself within the Tamale Metro, within the Tamale Metropolis. Okay. So the phone number of the headmaster.
No, that one I don't need.
I mean, no, for purposes for purposes of you cross-checking. I just want to.
This one is in Tamale Central.
It's Tamale Metro.
So
the school falls within Tamale Metro. It's okay.
Tamale Central.
It should be Tamale South.
Tamale South.
Yes, it falls within
that. I'm very happy. Okay. So please, as for me, look, hold on. As for me, Tamale, I have so many friends in Tamale. In fact, I can send people right now. They will leave the money to and go there and check for me. So those of you who live within Tamale South Metropolis, Tamale South constituency, I beg you, the school's name is
Lamashao Filling Station.
Yes,
Lamashao Filling Station.
Okay. Directly opposite Japan Motors.
Go and check this for me and send me
the school
pictures
is within the community.
No problem.
Okay.
I'm asking my viewers to do something for me.
I'm also giving you information so that it will further enhance.
Fantastic. Naimia Islamic Primary School. Naimia Islamic Primary School. If you know the school, go there and find out.
And let me say this again.
Thank you.
That information or communication was given to all head teachers across, that particular.
No, you are making an emphatic statement. You are saying that he's taking possession. And
that is what I'm saying.
So
okay.
We are deliberating on the issue. We are not arguing here.
Yes.
We are stating facts because government is supposed to do ABCD.
Yes.
You claim government has done ABCD.
Exactly.
We need to verify whether or not that is a fact. Okay. Why not? I mean, it is not a shame on anybody. No. If government has done this,
no,
why not?
We all
we are advocating for.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, viewers, if you live around a school which is directly opposite Japan Motors, Naimia Islamic Primary School, go and find out if they have taken possession of PPEs that will help our students to study in a serene atmosphere without any problems whatsoever. I'll be very, very glad. So do that for me this morning. I'll be very, very glad. Just take a picture of it, send it to me on WhatsApp, and then let's see if it's functioning. Please. I wanted to make a point. Yeah.
I think that my young brother is actually not candid with the facts. At times we should appreciate that the listeners are more even discerning and they even know the reality and facts than we those who are privileged to be in this studio. You see, we are talking about a country in excess of over 20,000 schools. And these schools are public schools. Somebody who is at Nanaya in the Upper East region, somebody who is at Pasingpe, somebody who is at Diwupe in the Savannah region, somebody who is at Kwesimintim should have access to these things. And you need to go far. Why? When the secondary schools last year, they were supposed to go and study and then go and write their exams. Government promised it was to provide them 3 reusable nose masks at the end of the day. It is only the lucky ones who had even 2. This is one. Remember, last year, when they actually bought the white calico cloths and gave it to district assemblies and asked them to sew the nose masks, what they did was only to sew them and gave it to their parliamentary candidates who were going around distributing them.
How can you confirm that?
I'm telling you as a matter of fact, my brother.
What is your evidence?
Across, look, the calico reusable.
What is your evidence?
My evidence is that there are parliamentary candidates who were not government officials were going around distributing the district assemblies reusable white masks, and some of them are still not even being done.
Who can we reach to verify that your claims?
Please, relax.
You
relax.
put me on strict proof, and I gave you
the whole point. Yeah, so
relax.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am telling you. You see, some of these things, you don't need to give a single individual issue, because it is a national issue, and if you take your cameras out, you will realize the widespread. Why? When the school just started, many of your colleagues and your sister stations, including some of you,
he would not shy away from your question.
Please relax. Relax, my brother. They went out, went to the schools, and interviewed the children. What the children were telling them were, my father could not provide for me, or my father gave this to me, or my mother gave this to me. Not government. Why? My brother was sitting here saying that if people didn't get the necessary packages, they were complaining. Star FM, as at this morning, is reporting Konfuanochi's medical staff who are threatening to go on strike.
No, I'm GGM actually said they were going to
strike. Who are threatening to go on strike. And this is across the country. Why? Not too long ago, those who were doing the contact tracing, they have indicated that, look, they are not getting the monies that they were promised. Do you need any other person to give you the reality on the ground? You don't need that. This is a fact. But you know the interesting thing? If my brother can be candid, you see, Bawumia did that kind of warp logic and warp comparison in his own words by trying to compare a deadly disease which is ravaging and killing to which we don't even know the end sight with regards to a certain Trump out and truth about Danso, when he himself had confirmed in 2015 that the NDC government could not be credited for ending Danso. This is the type of person that we are talking about. Of course, in our own palace, in Dagbani, they say that nothing like Che Baba. That means that when the leader gets a very terrible hair shave, you can expect anything from the followers. So if a protocol is learning the very things of Bawumia, the untruth that he's accustomed to telling, do you expect any other thing less than
we have to go to the court now. We have to go to Supreme Court now. But before we do that, okay, but conclude for me. But I'll come as well. I'll come to you for the conclusion. Yeah.
My main concern is the CI 164, the ES 164 or
164, yes,
which gives a heavy punishment of 60,000 Ghana cedis and beyond for somebody not wearing a nose mask. This is an unthinkable law that it must be reviewed quickly. How much is a nose mask? And if it is so easy to get, why couldn't the government of Ghana procure every nose mask and give it to every household in the country?
Yeah.
To make it much more penalty.
So
they should reduce that kind of punishment.
Thank you. M. Clotted Boy sends this one in from the US. He says, good morning to you. Salifu, I'm not a politician, but you're making a baseless and ignorant argument. Come on, dude, speak to the facts. Read our messages to them, KOD. I have just simply done that. Ambassador Sampiale is also saying, oh, my veritable KOD, I think your description of Tema Hospital is too overgeneralized. Yes, you may have had some very bad experience at Tema Hospital from the hands of a shift under pressure, but most people, including myself, have experienced very fantastic services. It's only because you are Ambassador Sampiale. My concern is what is the scientific and common sense reasoning supporting the spraying of chlorine and water compound. In the first place, that spraying does not have even 0.0000005% capacity to scratch the nose of any virus, especially the coronavirus. Could we not have used the 50 billion to procure nose masks and hand sanitizers for distribution to our schools? Could we not have used part of that money for public education? Tell the man in the beautiful blue suit that this misinformation about Danso is so shameful and non-factual and irrelevant. Does he know who brought cow power, America, trouble, etc.? The difference between NDC and MPP is so clear. NDC builds, Ghana MPP attempts to govern. Should the MPP government be praised for giving free electricity and water? What about the government that created the infrastructure and built the water and electricity systems? Where will your people have caught COVID-19, have been hospitalized if Mahama had not built health infrastructures? Where is COVID-19 tracker? It goes on and on and on.
Good. And
my time is up. Actually, my time is up. My time is up. My time is up. Protocol. 1 minute for you. My time is up. Protocol.
You know, evidence and facts are still pouring in. Now, I'll give you another reference for you to, as it were, tell your people to go and cross-check.
Yeah.
There's also another school, which incidentally also is located within Tamale South constituency.
Yeah.
The name of the school is the Lorry MA Primary. They also receive nose masks and hand sanitizers.
Okay.
So it is an issue that you should also try to.
My Twitter
on the issue of the elected position,
I have to go to court. Yeah. I'm not touching on. We're not discussing.
Sorry,
I know, because
we're not the 20 million for nose mask for secondary school teachers. The population of Ghana is 30 million.
Kwame, please. Yeah, let me go on Twitter. Read this message on Twitter. Kofi SL says, Kwame, please, the fumigation exercise doesn't prevent any COVID. Kofi SL from Cape Coast. This nation needs a revolution bigger than fourth. Well, that's your Makafui Eli. That's your right. I need to go now. Thank you very much for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. We'll take you to the Supreme Court now, where the hearing continues. Stay with us. Don't move a muscle. This is Good Morning Africa, live on the #1 station, Pan African TV, with me, Kwame Owusu. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your attention.
If it pleases your lordships, I put one power for the second respondent. My lords, with me are my colleagues, Frank Davis, Kweku Esrifi, and Yao Pong.
My lords, I believe the last thing your lordship, the Chief Justice, said just before you rose was that there was going to be a consideration of the admissibility. And my lords, with respect, I had understood that this is not a video that is being tendered in evidence so as to have admissibility in question, but it is something that they are seeking to use to address some credibility issues. So I believe that at this stage we're not talking, I just wanted to clarify my own understanding, we're not talking about admissibility of the contents of that video. We're talking about their indication that they are seeking to use the video in cross-examination for the purposes of credibility of the witness. So, my lord, I wondered whether there can be confirmation.
Yeah, counsel, if it is not introduced in evidence, yeah, they can't cross-examine on that. So if they ask for leave to have it in evidence, then maybe we will follow you, raise an objection based on, I think, Section 5 of the Evidence Act. Okay. Before we go on, we want to make some few observations. Mr. Frank Davis. Mr. Frank Davis, please, we respectfully want to draw your attention to the legal professional conduct and ethical rules 2020. Please, if you look at section 38, rule 38, sorry, the court is not comfortable with the post-trial interview that you grant outside. Please, if I may read to you, rule 38. A lawyer who is practicing or has participated in the investigation or litigation of a matter that is still pending before a court shall not make an out-of-court statement or grant an interview to the media on the matter. So please, we are just drawing your attention to the ethical infractions, and you have to advise yourself accordingly. Somebody other than you may do it. That is not our concern, but you are precluded by law because you have been announced in the case on a regular basis.
My Lord, I'm grateful.
And even, please, if you are even a lawyer and you are not actively participating, please, we make a passionate plea to you to put down your ropes and grant the interview. You don't think that you should be in ropes with a wig on and under. Yes, addressing the media.
Lord, the advice is faithfully taken.
My Lord, may we ask the witness. My Lord, in respect of the issue of admissibility of the evidence in the video recording, our view is that at this stage we will only play the video recording for purposes of identification. If you want the court to have it in evidence, you can do the right thing. Yes. My Lord, I then wish to apply for leave to tender
You haven't even shown it, so...
Very well. My Lord, as I said, the object of the video evidence is to demonstrate.
You show the video.
Gentleman, by letting them play it, then he can see it, and then you can start from there.
Very well.
In the witness box, you are being reminded of the previous oath that you took.
Mr. Nkatia, at the last adjourned date, we sought to refer to our Exhibit A, which is a video recording. And you did not seem to have Exhibit 6, which is our video recording of certain press conferences. And you did not seem to have looked at them. And also,
my Lord, I believe this is really where I started off from. That
Mr. Chikata, could you finish so I can record what he's actually saying? It doesn't seem to me that he finished.
and also there was not the necessary preparation technically to show what is in the recording, and the case was adjourned to today so that that could be done. Now, I believe you have seen the recording since then.
Yes, my Lord. I have watched the video of the copy of the video that was attached to the statement.
And the recordings do relate to press conferences.
Yes, where I spoke.
Yes. And where you didn't speak is still related to press conferences on the 2020 presidential elections.
Yes, my Lord.
Now, my lords, we may wish to have the recording played in open court, because it is our view that the recordings, as your lordships will see, go to the credibility of the witness and the petitioner.
As we have indicated from the beginning, if they are being shown in order to deal with issues of credibility, we don't have any issue with that. Our concern is that it's not an issue of admissibility. And my lords, this was why I needed to clarify your last order, because
the admissibility comes first. It must be admitted before we see the relevance.
In that event, we are objecting to the admissibility. In that event, we are, if the issue of admissibility,
I thought the witness counsel was cross-examining him some few moments ago, and he said he had seen it and he had watched it. Maybe you have other legal objections. You can be recorded as such.
No, the legal objection is that it cannot be admitted through this witness. It is not admissible through this witness.
No, the witness said he did speak to
He
that.
says he has seen it, but it can't be admitted in evidence in this court through him.
Okay.
It is not something from his custody. He says he has watched it. It is not from his custody. It is not a recording made by him. There is no, he cannot authenticate. He cannot authenticate that video.
The witness has not said so. The witness has not said so.
No, my lord, he says he has seen it, but
Seen it.
so on the basis of that, we cannot, on the basis of that, we are objecting to that document being produced in evidence through the witness. The proper thing is for them to produce it in evidence if that is what they are seeking to do. That's why it's an exhibit attached to their witness statement. As an attachment to their witness statement, it is entirely open for them to put it in evidence. It is in fact the process that they have initiated, but they cannot tender that video through our witness. They cannot do that, my lords. They cannot do that, and we respectfully object to that evidence by virtue of Section 6 of the Evidence Act. The exhibit in question is not coming from the custody of this witness. It is according to counsel, it is an exhibit attached to the witness statement that they are seeking to introduce before this court. And they are entitled to introduce it into evidence through their witness when he is called into court. It is a different matter if you try to ask the witness on the opposite side to be the one to tender it. My lords, we cannot have it tendered through that witness. And my lords, I would respectfully also refer to section 136 which indicates, which provides as for of the Evidence Act, 1361 of the Evidence Act, I'm sorry. Where the relevancy of evidence depends upon its authenticity or identity, so that authentication or identification is required as a condition precedent to admission, that requirement is satisfied by evidence or other showing sufficient to support a finding that the matter in question is what its proponent claims. The proponent of that document is the second respondent. And your lordships clearly saw what happened in cross-examination the other time. The witness literally opened the envelope in which that exhibit had been attached to a witness statement at the request of counsel for the second respondent. That cannot amount to authentication. And my lords, I cannot see what the problem is in my indicating. If your lordships wish the witness to step out whilst we discuss the legal admissibility, of course that can be done. But once there is an issue of